Okay, this is going to be like taking it up a notch as far as your concentration level. I really, y'all cannot lose your focus today. Okay? You cannot lose your focus today. No matter how boring this is, you cannot lose your focus or you're going to be lost. Okay? So stay with me. All right. 12.3. Completing the square. All right, so we're solving quadratic equations, but we're doing it by completing the square. Some quadratic equations such as a squared plus 6 b. Why did I write that? 6. Oh, okay. 6a. A squared plus 6a plus 2 equals 0. So there's a quadratic equation. Some quadratic equations, such as this one, can't be solved by factoring, like what y'all been doing. So if you look at this equation here, there's no way to factor it out. We could put a here and a here, but there's no combination that we can put here and here to get this equation. Nothing times itself is going to give you 2, but when added gives you 6. Does that make sense? There's no way to do this. So then we're going to solve it by completing the square. Here's the format. X squared plus bx plus b divided by 2 squared. That's how you do it. Steps to make perfect square quadratic equations. Okay, I'm about to give you the steps on how to make the perfect quadratic equations so that you can solve. Because if you're given this equation right here, based on the stuff that y'all did in 12.1, 12.2, there's no way to solve it. So here's a third way to do it. Step 1. You're going to write the equation in the form ax squared plus bx equals c. Now remember, this is what you're usually given, but we're going to change this, right? This is even up here. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So for the last couple of days this week, this is what we've been dealing with. Right? Well, you're going to take it and move the C to the other side of the equal sign. Remember the last couple of days, we've been moving everything to equal to 0, right? And then we factor, we do, this and stuff like that, right? Well, now we're taking it and making sure the C is on this side of the equal sign. Step 2. Complete the square by adding b divided by 2 squared to both sides of the equation. So first thing you do is rearrange your equation to where it's ax squared plus bx equals c, so that the c, the number that's all by itself, is on this side of the equal sign. No longer is it going to be equal to 0. Then you're going to complete the square by adding. Now this b is whatever number you've got right here. So whatever number you got right there, divided by 2 and then squared, and you're doing that to both sides of the equation. So this b is what you're putting right there. 3, step 3, you're going to factor the trinomial. Yes? I don't know. Step 4, apply the square root property. And y'all been doing that. And then, of course, step 5, solve. Yeah, because, I mean, this is crazy. Who thought about that? So that's impressive. Okay, so step 1, move your C over here on this side of the equal sign. Step 2, take that B, divide by 2 square on both sides of the equation. So it's going to be like over here and over here. Factor the trinomial, apply the square root property, and solve. Does everyone have this? So you got it? All right, here we go. Open up your books. You're going to learn by doing. Whoops. Examples, page 497. Yeah, all of them. I got tons of problems to do here. All right, 1. Wait for everyone to have their book open. Okay, we're going to start small. So this section says what number must be added to complete the square. So guys, listen up. For number 1, all they're wanting to do is do step 2. They're wanting to do step 1 and then step 2. Okay? Step 1, step 2. But really, step 1, they'll even have C. All they want to know, they want to get used to figuring this part out. Then the next section is, all right, let's do the real thing. So this whole first section is getting used to just doing this. We're not solving any equation right now. All we're doing in this section is what is going to be added to both sides. We're doing this thing right here. Okay, so this is not how to solve the equation. This is just what number needs to be added to complete the square. So number 1, we have x squared plus 8x plus what? And then normally it'd be equals some C number. but we're not going to do that. All they want to know is what would be added to both sides here. Okay? So, we go back to b divided by 2 squared. Again, this is what's supposed to be added. That is step 2. What is supposed to be added? So what is b, Emily? Out of these things, what is b? No, look right here. See? Look at your form. Okay? Right here. It's the what? Yes. Because remember, here we have ax squared plus bx, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So she's correct. It's 8. So if b is 8, we have 8 over 2 squared. Remember, this is the form, right? So we're using the b here, the 8. So Emily, what's 8 divided by 2? What is 4 squared?
16.
There you go. That is what would be added to both sides. And then we'd do a lot of work. Okay, we haven't solved it, but we're just getting used to that whole step 2 thing. Let's look at number 3. I have x squared plus 16x plus what would be added to both sides. So Michaela, how do I figure out what's going to be added to both sides?
You're gonna write. Do you have to write the B2 thing?
You should get used to it. So what are we using? We're using this right here, right? So b divided by 2 squared. You need to write it so you get used to it. Now.
Plus, oh wait, equals 16 over 2.
Squared. Very good. So 16 divided by 2 is?
8.
So 8 squared is?
64.
Yeah. So 64 would be added to both sides. We're getting used to step 2. All right, 5. Cecilia, x squared minus 2x. What would be added to both sides? Talk me through it. 2x over 2x?
Add 2 over 2.
Not quite. There you go. So I'm writing my little form there. It is negative 2 over 2 squared. So what's negative 2 divided by 2?
-1.
All right, so what's negative 1 squared?
1.
Correct. One would be added to both sides. Any questions so far? All right, Michael. X squared plus 3x. What is going to be added to both sides? And square. Can you divide? And there's your answer. That's all you gotta do. Do y'all see that? This time it doesn't divide evenly. So you just square the fraction and you get that. This is what would be added to both sides. Any questions so far? All right, number 9, Gabby. I have x squared minus 11x. What would be added to both sides? squared. Very good. We're going to square both of them. Perfect. Because this inevitably is a negative fraction. So a negative times a negative is positive. So negative 11 over 2 times negative 11 over 2 is going to be a positive 121 over 4. That's what would be added to both sides. All right, Taylor, you ready for a tough one?
Yes.
All right, does anyone have questions on this?
Number 27. Okay.
Look at number 11. X squared plus 3 over 2x plus what is added to both sides?
So first thing you do is you get the parentheses, which is 3 over 2 divided by 1 over 2.
Or 2, right?
Oh, we aren't doing this like the dividing fractions.
We're setting it up first. So 3 over 2, because that's your b, divided by 2, because, right, that's the form. We're taking notes, so I don't want to skip anything. So the b is a fraction, so it's 3 over 2 divided by 2 squared. So, Taylor, tell me how to do this. How should I work this out?
3 over 2 divided by 1 over 2.
1 over 2, that's a whole number 2.
2 over 4.
Squared, right? Okay, so when I'm dividing fractions, what's the rule?
Kentucky chicken for
That's right, chicken. Keep, change, and flip. So, okay.
You're right. 3 over 4 squared. Equals 9 over 16.
Perfect. Applying that square to both. So 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. So here we have 3, this time with the fraction, 3 over 2, that's where he got this, divided by 2, 2 over 1. So 3 over 2 divided by 2 over 1, squared. Apply the rules of dividing fractions, keep, change, and flip, square. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. Any questions of where he got that? All right, now that y'all understand step 2, let's start solving. 15. Directions say solve by completing the square. All right, so here's what you're given. A squared plus 2a equals 15. Now, I'm going to do this one. This is step 1. Step 1 was make sure that it's in this format with C over here. Is this ready to go? Aiden, is this in the correct format? Okay, good. So it's already done for you. Step 2 is what we've been doing. So step 2 is where we do the b divided by 2 squared. So Aiden, what would I do for this one? Which would give me 1. Okay, this, like what we've been doing, will be added to both sides. This is all part of step 2. So I have a squared plus 2a plus 1 equals 15 plus 1. Because remember, step 2 says do the b over 2 squared and add it to both sides. Step 2, complete the square by adding this to both sides of the equation. So this is what I did, or what Aiden did. He got it to 1, and he's adding it to both sides of the equation. 15 plus 1 is what? So I rewrite it. Now, step 3 says factor the trinomial. So step 3, they want you to factor the trinomial. Don't worry about this 16 yet. But step 3 wants you to factor the trinomial. So see how I brought down 16? So I have A. And this one's easy because we can just say plus 1 plus 1. You're going to find that this is now considered perfect. Notice that both of these are the same. So I'm going to rewrite it since it's the same as A plus 1 squared equals 16. Now, before I move on, does anyone have questions about what we just did? Make sure your notes are nice and neat so you can follow along step by step. And the reasons I'm putting the little 1, 2, and 3 is so you can look back in the arrows. If your notes are messy, you're going to struggle on the work. Okay, now step 4 says apply the square root property. So step 4, we are applying the square root property, which is to square root both sides. Take it out of that square. And we're left with this is what we did yesterday. We're left with A plus 1 equals square root of 16 is plus or minus 4. I got to move this 1 over, so I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides. And here we go to step 5. I get A equals negative 1 plus or minus 4. So now I solve. I have A equals negative 1 plus 4. And then I have A equals negative 1 minus 4. Oops, move that. Negative 1, because we got to split them up because of this plus and minus. So negative 1 plus 4, negative 1 minus 4. So negative 1 plus 4 is 3. Negative 1 and negative 4 is negative 5. So the answer is A equals 3 and negative 5. So it's really the same stuff you did do yesterday, but we're just adding step 2. Right. So write this down nice and neat. See if you have questions. If you skip a step, You're setting yourself up to mess up. I don't care if you do a page per problem. If you write it step by step, nice and neat like this, probably won't make a mistake. And if you don't understand why you're getting something wrong, I can always look at it and say, oh, look right here. You wrote down the wrong problem from the very beginning. All right, is everyone done copying this? Aiden, do you have it? What are you writing? Huh? Oh, you want to do 17? All right. 17, I've changed to a clean side. All right, Aiden, it's x squared plus 4x equals 5. So this is step 1. Ax squared plus bx equals c. Is it in the correct format?
Yes.
Okay, so then what do I do now? What do I do?
Now you take you add the p over 2 squared.
Okay, we got to do step 2, the b over 2 squared. All right, which is what?
It would be 4 over 2 squared.
Which is?
Is 2 over 2 squared.
Okay, so there I have my 4. Now, what do we do?
Now you add both sides.
Yep, we're going to add it to both sides. So plus 4 equals 5 plus 4. So we're adding it to both sides of the equal sign. So now what do I get?
You get x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 9.
Because 5 plus 4 is 9. Okay, so now what do I do with my trinomial?
Now you factor them.
All right, so step 3, we're going to factor it. Get my parentheses there, equals 9. So what's in the parentheses, Aiden?
The x plus 2.
Notice that both of these are the same. X plus 2 times x plus 2. So we've got this perfect little trinomial going. So then how do I write it?
X plus 2 squared.
Perfect.
And then you square root.
Now we're going to square root everything. Step 4. And go ahead.
X plus 2 equals positive x. Now you subtract the right side by 2. Negative 2 plus 3 and negative 2 minus 3.
So x equals negative 2 plus minus 3. This is step 5. All right, now I'm going to draw my nifty little arrows. And I have what on the top arrow?
Negative 2 plus 3.
And down here?
Negative 2 minus 3.
So negative 2 plus 3 and negative 2 minus 3. This one I get, and this one I get. So then the answer is x equals 1 negative 5. Any questions? Wait a minute. Seriously, does anyone have questions? Put your pencils down when you're done. If you're still writing, I think you're still taking notes. So, all right. So everyone's done? No questions? All right, it's the last one. Taylor, you said you wanted to do one? No, I've got 19.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Last sample. It is x squared minus 10x minus 24 equals 0. So we're starting with step 1. So Taylor, talk me through it.
So first things first, you remove the 24 over, so you add 24 to both sides.
Why are you moving the 24 over?
Yeah, make it, I forgot this
AX
yeah, the form.
plus BX equals C. So here we have C is negative 24. So he's correct. We got to move it over here. So we have x squared minus 10x equals 24. Okay, so that was step 1. Very good. Just remember, this number by itself is C. You got to move it over here so it looks like that. Now what do I do?
Next, you take negative from the b, so negative 10, you put it over to m squared.
All right, so step 2, negative 10 over 2 squared.
And when you reduce it, you get negative 5 squared. Then square that, and you get 25.
Very good. So what do I do with that 25?
Add it to both sides.
And then what do I get?
X squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 49.
Okay. So here's my trinomial. Step 3, what do I do?
Put it in the parentheses.
Factoring.
The factor. X minus 5, x minus 5, 49. So you can make that x minus 5 squared equals 49. You put them both on the graph.
All right, wait. That's step 4. So now we're going to square root both things.
X minus 5 equals 7.
Wait. Plus or minus
Plus or minus
7.
And then you get, and so then you add, so you add 5 to both negative 7 and positive 7. Which indicates kind of getting your x.
Hold on. Okay, we got x equals 5 plus or minus 7. So step 5 is going to be solving this.
5 plus 7 is 12. 5 minus 7 is negative 2. So that would be x equals 12, comma, negative 2.
But it'd be okay if you did it the other way.
What do you mean the other way? Like negative 2, comma 12? Oh yeah, good question. Absolutely. There's no rule on that. In fact, it's funny, Cecilia, that you said that, because normally we're always write the smaller one first, least to greatest, and then you get to this and it really doesn't matter. And so I personally would like to write negative 2 and 12. That's just me. So no, there's no rule to it.
I have no
I'm so sorry. No, no.
Also, you can check in the back of the book.
The odds, that's why I never signed them.
That's why Gabby knows who the odds. She so possibly it's not.
It's not the show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. All right, y'all ready to do work?
If I have
Are there any questions on this? Look back. Do you have questions where we get it? It's literally step by step, step by step. Nothing is really changing. So, you see what I'm saying? It's not like the dividing of the radicals that you have to sit there and try to figure stuff out. This is step by step, step by step. Yes, sir? Huh? What did you get? Oh, but plus or minus
Yeah.
for 27?
Yes.
Yeah, but
I gotta solve it.
you have to get the two answers. You have to then take it and do the common.
You have to do this. Oh my gosh.
Did the book lie?
No, and then it has okay, then it has the decimals.
Yeah, then you go to decimals.
Ew, that's
We didn't do that yet.
Okay, but look, 427, if you were to do negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 85, I would be fine with it. Okay. So, y'all are doing page 497, 498. Numbers. Let's see, how many is that one? 2 through 22 even. That's like 11 problems. Let's see what damage I can do to.
Anyone have extra pencil, bro?
I won't be too mean.
Do you accept her
Yeah.
pencil?
8 through 28 even. 11 problems. It's due Friday. And your quiz on all three of these things Monday.
Roger.